Malo lava le soifua ma le langi e mama, ua mona ave le viinga ma le whawhetai le tatau tapa au sili lunga le langi. Whawhetai lava I ate outou uma, le au mai moa, le tatau breaking waves. Thank you for joining us today on a special episode. I have a very, very special guest today who I have been looking forward to interview for like the last 2 months. And she is Miss American Samoa, Pauliana Angel. Thank you for joining us on the show. You are so beautiful. How are you this morning?
Talo whalawa hana e whatara watu I lau whasausaunga le nei tūlan tai au a Samoa. Samoa na lua ia whapea fōi nu Maui New Zealand ma Australia. Good morning. I'm very excited to finally hop on this episode with you. Huge fan of your work. I've been watching your videos on my Explorer page, and so it's a bit surreal to be on here this morning, but I'm very grateful, very grateful. I'm feeling good. And also, I am now former Miss American Samoa 2024, 2025. Thank you for still having me on.
No worries. No, thank you so much, Pauliana, for joining us today. I'm so honored to be interviewing you, but let's get into it because I'm sure you had a journey. I've been watching your stories and I'm like fangirling, but tell us about some of the reflections you've had, now that you've closed off your reign.
Yes. Well, it's been a week now, so it hasn't been that long, and I tend to process things really slowly. But so far, some of the reflections and takeaways from the journey truly has been nothing but like gratitude. Gratitude for the journey. There's so many like untold stories that I feel are very sacred to me that I will keep to myself, and the Lord that just makes me very thankful for the journey and the people that I met along the way. But all in all, feeling very blessed and very light and truly at peace. A lot of people have been asking me, so how do you feel now that, you're back to your normal life? It hasn't really been normal. I don't think life after serving through the platform in pageantry in either American Samoa or Samoa, your life ever really goes back to normal. But I've been feeling really at peace. I'm happy.
That's good. I'm really glad that, you're feeling at peace and happy because, like you said, there's things that you experience that's between you and God that you went through. And to be finishing in a place of peace, that's awesome. I watched a video that I saw on TikTok. You had an interview and you said that, Miss American Samoa was something you never imagined yourself joining. And it was more of a spiritual decision. Could you elaborate on that, please, or tell us more about that? Because on this podcast, I love to dive into people's faith journeys. I feel like it's very important for audiences to see that. So I'd like to hear that about your story.
Yeah, it's a question I get a lot. Like, did you ever, was this something you always wanted to do? And the answer has always been truthfully no. First of all, I'm not a pageant girl. I didn't know the first thing about pageantry when the Lord first called me to run back in 2019. I was in my last year of uni, and my background is in historical and political studies, and I minored in English. So I always thought I would go into law or government. But when I had prayed really hard on my next steps after uni, the Lord showed me the way back home. And at the time, I was still young and I still wanted to live life, away from home. And I was like, I'm not ready to go back home. And so eventually I felt the call was very strong to come back home for reasons unknown to me. And I said, okay. I eventually surrendered to that call. And then I said, okay, Lord, if the pathway is back home, what would you like for me to do? And my options in mind were either work for government or become a teacher. Because with my degree and my background, that's all I could see myself doing. And so he had used friends, like at most random times. He had used my friends and just random people who would come up to me and ask, you should run for Miss American Samoa. Have you ever thought of running for it? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. And so in this time of, I would call it a period of discernment, when I was discerning what my next steps would be, it kept coming up. And so I had prayed about it. I was like, hey, God, like, what is this about? What is this like Miss American Samoa thing about? You know, because it's been coming up more than 3 times now. And I have a thing with the number 3. The number 3 is a very sacred number to me. I call it my angel number. Whenever I pray on something, I ask for it to appear in signs of 3s. And it happened more than 3 times. And long story short, the Lord said, yeah, that is the calling. Return to your people and serve through the platform of Miss American Samoa. And I was really, really, really like resistant about it because, again, I'm not a pageant girl. And I knew that it would come with a lot. It would come with my family being in the limelight along with me. And it was just a really hard reality for me to accept if I had gone through it. So fast forward to 2025, 2024. I ran and was blessed with, you know, the win, and the rest is history. But it was a long road. It was a long road home because COVID had happened, and that delayed the running for Miss American Samoa. But yeah, I never saw myself, you know, being a pageant girl. I looked up to women like Lupe Almavai, though she was like everyone's favorite Miss American Samoa and Miss South Pacific Islands at the time. And that's about all I knew about pageantry, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I have never really watched pageants again until Fuimaono, to be honest. I hadn't watched pageants until Fuimaono again. So yeah, that's a little bit of the background story.
No, that's fine. Thank you for sharing that with us. You know, alongside winning the Miss American Samoa title, you probably got put in the spotlight a lot. You probably got a lot of attention, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just part of the reality of being Miss American Samoa. Yeah. How have you managed as a person to stay grounded?
Honestly, my faith has been my anchor. I've always been reminded to walk in humility through my faith, and in knowing that I did not do this alone, and I was not walking alone. I was walking with the Spirit of the Lord and alongside my entire villages and my families. And so I always knew that every step and every choice, every word that I speak, I was carrying more than just myself with me. And in that, I feel it really grounded me to know that I was not alone in anything that I was doing. So yeah, I think to answer it simply, I think my faith was a huge factor.
I love that. That's really important. You've been very vocal about preserving our culture and our language, especially towards our tupulanga, our youth. How important has the Samoan language been to you in shaping your sense of self and connecting to your roots?
I mean, it's everything. It's my entire identity as a woman. It's one thing to be a woman in this world, and it's another to be a Samoan woman. And for me, I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for my whasinomanga. E mita lava uia I lau whasinomanga whatamaitai Samoa. So a little bit of background, I moved to Hawaii when I was 13, and I finished off high school and following university. And I've always been back and forth from here in American Samoa and America for vacation. So I know what that life is like, you know, in the Western world. I know I've seen what it's like to live without culture and to live without purpose. I have also walked aimlessly without purpose. So I know what that feels like. And I'm very grateful that I always had my culture, my language, as a beacon of light and hope in my life. I've had friends who are not necessarily from like an ethnic group, and I've seen what that does to them when they don't have something to hold on to or to refer back to. And for me, I think moving back home last year, it was really important for me to remind not just Samoan women, but the youth of American Samoa, just how blessed we are to have that. Because I think in a time where, you know, it's swirling with unrest, and the youth of both just globally, I feel like this is a really, I'm trying to simplify it in my mind, but you know, we're in a technological era where kids are easily influenced, and they their identity is whatever they see on their cellular devices. But for us as kids of culture, people of culture rooted in faith and community, it was important for me to remind them that your identity is not rooted in what you see from the outside world. It is right here within your community. And we are so lucky and we are so blessed that we have a language and a culture to walk alongside, because a lot of people don't have that. A lot of kids don't have that in America. A lot of kids don't have that in Western societies. They don't have that. So what happens is, I from my observation, they will grab onto whatever that is around them and whatever they see, because they don't have a fasino manga. Ele se fasino manga e fasino yayalo o tamaititi. And so for me, I created a program called Fale Samoa during my tenure as Miss American Samoa that was ultimately influenced by the Samoan culture. When I was creating the program in my mind, I thought of how do we combat societal issues that we're facing here in American Samoa, such as drug abuse, alcohol and drug abuse, education, whatever it was. I thought of our ancestors and how they would gather in the Fale Samoa and they would talk amongst themselves and village council and the community on how we can, remediate issues that we're facing within our families. And that's through Fasoa. And Fasoa is to share, to share the load, to share the burden. O le fitufa ingo o manatu maikia ya mafalangunga fo'i. Awa se lumanga imong wia o along fa ngau kakongu ya ainga fa pe foi ekalesia. And so that was the inspiration of Fasoa in my program. And I took it to Manua. I tried to take it to the schools here on island. And the hope is still to take it to the rest of the Pacific as well, because what we deal with here in American Samoa, it's not unique to us. I've seen it in the Solomon Islands. I've seen it when we went to Fiji. When I talk to my Pacific Islander friends, they deal with the same things in their own homes. And I'm a firm believer that we can remediate a lot of the issues that we face as a people and as a community just through conversation. We don't have to see eye to eye, but if we can just connect heart to heart through conversation, that's all we need. That's enough for me. And so that's something that I created to try and promote the culture and to bridge the gap between these generations and what we're going through in modern day time. Sorry, I know that was a lot, but it's a lot going on up here.
No, you're absolutely fine. And I'm so happy that you explained that, because that was literally my experience. So, my parents moved here to New Zealand when I was born. So I was kind of isolated from my culture, the distance. I'm in another country now. And being raised in Western systems, we're forced to be independent, almost like provide for yourself. I mean, most of the week you're working for most of your life, 40 hours just to provide, to make ends meet. And I get it. I'm not saying it's like wrong or anything. It's just a reality that we have to live in. And then we're so disconnected. And then we feel kind of empty because we're missing out on that community, our ainga, being grounded in values, doing things for a reason, doing things with a purpose. Whereas in the Western system, often we can get distracted. So I'm so glad that you explained that, because it's like you said, it's not only Samoans, Solomon Islands, probably even the Tongans have it in their own community. And the fact that you're focusing on solutions to help bridge this is amazing. And I think that's beautiful. And you've done so much in your time. I'm pretty sure your family have been helping you keep grounded in all of this. Tell us about how they've helped you in this journey.
Oh, man. I don't even know where to begin, but I think for the most part, they set the foundation for me. When I decided I was going to take on this journey, I knew that it was going to come with a lot. And I'm quite the independent one. I like to do things on my own. I march to the beat of my own drum. And what I told my family and my mom when I decided I was going to run for Miss American Samoa, I said, because I know the financial burden that comes with pageantry and everything else. It was going to be a lot. But they helped as much as they can. I mean, I had my cousins, my friends, and my sisters who, kept me grounded, and long talks through the night and through the morning when I just needed to vent and when I had just had simply too much on my plate. But I think for the most part, they set the foundation for me in terms of my independence and the belief and the audacity to go after it. And so they supported me, they prayed me through it. I think that was the biggest thing as well, was just praying, holding me in prayer, because a lot of my immediate family, some of them, they are living off island, they're in the stateside. And so they would just, send text messages and their love through prayers, and sometimes through my bank account. My bank account. But yeah, I'm really grateful for the foundation that they've laid for me, and that's through my culture, through my faith, and most especially grateful for my father, who is no longer with us. God rest his soul in peace. I attribute a lot of my qualities as a Tamaita Samoa to my father, because as a little girl, I was really close to him. And so everywhere he would go, people would see me with him. Like, even to this day, when people see me, they refer to me as, Ino's daughter, or Palu and Suni's daughter. And so, and then that also goes to show the life of a Samoan kid. You never carry just yourself with you. You carry your family name and your parents with you. Everywhere you go, the first question is, "Ora ngai? O kamai?" Those are the first question, and that it's so important that you carry yourself in that manner. And so anyway, my father used to always take me to his village of Sailele for Fale Lavis. And the irony of being a Samoan woman is that a Samoan man taught me what it meant to be a Samoan woman. And I'm very grateful that I had that role model in my life, because it's paid off today. And so shout out to my dad. I know he's resting peacefully now, and I just hope I made him proud. But yeah, I attribute a lot of the foundation that's carried me through my time as a tausala to my dad as well.
I love that. In the Samoan worldview, tautua is distinctly linked to your identity. So what did tautua service look like for you in this role as, former Miss American Samoa?
I mean, it's in our everyday life. Not just my role as Miss American Samoa, but everyone around me. It's all I know. I grew up seeing my parents, my family, extended family, tautua, and whether that was to your church, to your youth, mga Samoa. I don't know anything else other than tautua. To me, it's ultimate form of love. And I think for a lot of us Samoan and Pacific Islanders, that is our love language, is through service.
Yeah.
And for me, it was my pathway to the true meaning of love. I found it through service to my people and to my community. And so I seen it in my mom's life and my father's life, and they modeled that for me growing up. It's so funny because just a couple weeks ago, I was thinking to myself, man, I don't remember my mom and my dad ever calling out from work. Like, they would work through sickness and in health, and it was like they were married to their jobs and to everything, to the church. I have never seen my parents call out from work ever. And so I think that's the model I had, serving as a tausala. Through sickness and in health, I gave it my all. And I'm grateful that I had those examples in my life.
Yeah. That's true, A lot of our parents, they're really hard workers. If they're not at work, they're at serving another family, or they're at church.
Yeah, it's always one thing after the other, and you sort of had to force them to relax.
So what are you thinking about getting into next? Or are there any next steps for you after this?
Yeah, I want to continue my program, Fale Mai. I truly believe in it. And so I'm trying to get with some local agencies here to have it a part of their their department, like our Department of Behavioral Health here. We've had some talks, so we're working the details out with that. But the long-term goal is to be a teacher. I still want to work with the kids, so I'm looking forward to being in the classroom. And so that's the long-term goal after a brief break. I just need a little room to breathe, and then I'll be right back into it. But I truly hope to see Fale Samoa as well in the Pacific region. Again, like I said, the issues that we deal with here in American Samoa are shared issues. They're common issues that I see across the Pacific region. And I truly believe that in sharing that burden and sharing that load, we can find we can find solutions as communities here in American Samoa and across the Pacific region, to see how we can work together to remediate those. So just continuing to walk with the Lord and listen to the Spirit and see where we can take Fale Samoa. But I think it's important that I establish it here first, and then we can work our way out.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm excited to see that grow, and also reach other Pacific islands as well. What is your word of advice for maybe younger Tamaitai Samoa who may be watching this and they want to join pageantry as well? What would be your whatuanga to them?
You know, Hana, the first thing that comes to mind, truthfully, is there should be a small part of you that does not want to do it. And I say that because, I mean, it's good to like really want it and to really want to do it, but there should be a small part of you that feels like it's a calling. And I know for my own walk, it was spiritual. And I'm not saying that it should be or it has to be spiritual for everyone, but I think there's a special thing about it when you truly feel in your heart that I really don't want to do this, but I feel like I have to. Like I feel like it's something I need to do. So then when you are in the role, it's more meaningful in a way. The work that you do is more meaningful because then, at least for me, when I got into the role, I find that my eyes open up and I was like, oh, okay, this is why you wanted me to do it. And everything made sense after. So I think make sure that it feels like a calling. I think I would say that make sure that it feels like something that you really feel called to serve your people, and not for any other reasons. Because I feel like pageantry in the Pacific region is so special. It's so unique because it's rooted in culture and it's rooted in value. So I think that would be my advice is I hope that it feels like a calling to you and not something you want to do because, you know, it's beauty and talent. And I think that's what I would advise, and have a strong support system. That's really important. Be careful who you trust. Make sure you pray about every little thing and the people around you because it'll really make or break the journey, to be honest. So find you a good support system. Pray a lot about every little thing, and serve. Go out and serve.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Pauliana, for joining us today on Breaking Waves. Do you have any last words?
Thank you, Blue Wave, for having me. I'm really grateful to have this opportunity. It's not often that the Tausala from American Samoa is recognized in New Zealand and Australia. I feel like it's mostly Samoa because most of us, we migrate towards America. So it means a lot. It's a great deal to me to, have American Samoa recognized on your platform. So I'm really grateful. Thank you, Hana, and thank you to your team. Thank you, Karl.
Karl. No, thank you, Pauliana, for sharing your time with us and for spending this hour in the morning with us to share your journey. We appreciate you. If you're ever in Aotearoa, New Zealand, please reach out. And if we're ever there, hopefully we get to do something there if we ever come to American Samoa as well.
Yes, please do let me know. But thank you so much. This has been great.
Thank you, Pauliana. You have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you.